Greetings, Glitter Gang, and welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and today we're going to be crafting once again in the December Daily Wallet album. I'm just here quickly doing a variation on the 5x7 pinwheel, which is I'm just doing it at 4.5 inches instead of 5 inches, so that I can make the last four wallets, or not wallets, the last four photo folders for the back pocket of the wallets, that when we did the construction I didn't make those for whatever reason, and so I'm just going to quickly do it now. So what I've done is I've cut, to get two more of them, I've cut two 4.5 inch pinwheels, so I just placed the paper at 4.5 inches. And then I cut up to 4.5 inches, and then I just keep turning it, and it keeps making these little rectangles. And I need 4 that are 4.5 by 6.5, and 4 that are 4.5 by 7.5. So I'm just going to quickly whip those together so that they're done, because I keep forgetting them. And then we will continue on with the project. And I believe today we have to start with digital paper making. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But yeah, I think we are starting with that because we did so well last week and we got so much done that now we are out of paper. So now what I'm trying to decide is if what I want to do is if I want to make digital paper for 2 wallets this afternoon, and then hopefully we will have be able to get 2 more wallet sets done tonight. If we do it that way, we're kind of sticking in one mode, not switching back and forth between modes. Maybe that'll help things go a little faster because I'll be in the groove. So, all right. So the 4.5 inch by 7.5 inch ones get scored at 7.5 inches. Excuse me, along the 7.5 inch side at 6.5 inches. Thank you. I found this really, and found like in my nail stash, not in, not in the store, but this really nice, it's not quite a brown, it's not quite a red, it's not quite an orange. It's just a really nice, like fall leaf color. I really like it. Very happy with it. We had our little welcome to fall party. So what did we do? We went to Starbucks and we got pumpkin loaf, and I tried the apple crisp shaken espresso, which I did like. And I like the brown sugar shaken espresso. That's probably my favorite Starbucks drink of the moment. So I was already kind of predisposed to like it, but I did like the addition of the caramel and the spices to give it like a fall flavor. I think it might be better than the pumpkin spiced things. So it might be. I mean, I don't want to, I know that's a controversial statement to make, you know, but I'm brave enough to say that it might be better. So all right, so now that those are folded, I'm just going to fold them over. And you'll see I have a couple of these little guys. My blade on my Fiskars trimmer is getting raggedy, and I need to replace it. Did we get the shed project done this weekend? No. No, we definitely thought about doing it and talked about doing it and then didn't do it, but it was like very hot still. I think we keep thinking it's not going to be hot, and then it is hot. Now we all looked at the items and agreed on the items that are going out to the shed. So like, I guess technically progress was made, but you know, is the project like, would a casual observer think the project was any closer to being done than it was last weekend? No, they would not. So I think we are just going to wait until people can be outside without dying, you know. And just because I decided it was fall does not mean that Georgia decided it was fall, or Mother Nature, or whoever is in charge of how hot it is. All right, so I am going to put tape along the edge. These are the 4.5 by 6.5 inch pieces, just along one 4.5 inch edge on all of these. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So I think it's just temporarily on pause, but we definitely talked about, you know, what stuff from the pantry room can go out there, and also what stuff from the attic can go out there. So in terms of being organized, we're really ready to go as soon as there's like a nice day, you know. But one thing Mr. Lifeguard and I did do is we bought, and then this is just, if you have a lot of serving platters, we bought pot and lid racks. So, and I've shown them to you before, but I have one in, I feel like I have one in, no, I don't have a loose one I can just grab. But I've shown them to you before. I use them in my craft room for organization a lot. They're pot, and you just search, if you just search for pot and lid holders, then you'll see them, tons of them. But anyway, a lot of them are fixed, so they're you can't adjust the space between the pots, I would say. So so on these, on the flap, on the edge of the flap, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put the tape. And like I said, if this is your first time here, this is a show where I craft live. We're in the middle of an ongoing project. I'm going to show you the whole project from start to finish, the planning, the decorating, all of it. We do it live on camera on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern USA time and 9 p.m. Eastern USA time. And I have a whole playlist with everything we've done so far, all the measurements, etc. If you want to get a head start on your Christmas. I'm using a digital paper from Simple Stories. So you can do it exactly if you have the ability to print your own paper and manipulate your own paper, or you can just, you know, be inspired by the shape of it and do it as a any other project, because there's nothing inherently Christmassy about the shape. All right, so anyway, I've used most actually don't use pot and lid racks to hold any pots or lids. I use them in the craft room because they hold 12 by 12 things very easily. So like I have one where I have my glass mat, my Fiskars trimmer, my scoreboard, all those tools that are kind of big like that. They're all in a pot and lid rack holder, and they're sitting on top of a bookshelf. So I don't have to try and figure out how to store all of them. And that bookshelf is like right over there. So when I go to get them, I'm going right there. And then I had one I wasn't using anymore because I changed how I organized things, and I thought, what if we could save so much space in this pantry room if I could store the platters vertically like this instead of flat, right? Because I have a lot of serving platters. I've talked about this before, but I collect them at after holiday sales, and I have tons of giant platters. And I get them, you can get them really inexpensively after Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, but anyway, so I've collected them over the years, and I have a ton, and they come in super handy. It's great to have them when you need them, but, you know, storing them is, this got bent over the weekend. I got it, and it's bent in such a way that it doesn't quite want to work anymore for peeling. So I'm just gonna see if I can get the plier. I thought I had a plier in my tool bag. See if I can straighten it out, because I would hate to have to get a replacement, because this is a replacement. Oh, I do remember, I think, where I put it. Is it in here? No. Alright. Well, it's just not working as it is. So I'm gonna have to go track down some pliers, because unfortunately, one thing I cannot do very well is remove tape right now. So annoying. Yeah, I have a Leatherman. That's just, you know, somewhere in the wind after the move, I guess. Okay. Let me see if I can just kind of... All right. Maybe. All right, let's see. Did that work? Yay. Okay. Anyway, so I went to use them for my serving platters, and for the platters it was fine, but for any serving dishes that had lids, they were too deep, like all my big casserole dishes that I have, which I also collect around the holidays. And they were all just too thick front to like this direction to go in. So I had my eye out for pot and lid rack holders where you could put the uprights anywhere you wanted that were customizable, and we found some. And so now all of the platters and things are very, very, very well organized in the pantry room and taking up way less space than they were before. So that's done. So progress got made in the pantry room. It just wasn't what we were expecting. Okay, so with these two, I'm just gonna line them up and then press it over. Okay. All right, line them up and then push it over. Okay, so Donna says Pampered Chef has wooden ones with movable pegs. That sounds really nice. It sounds very pretty as well. The one we got has something, it's like a wire thing, and you push the sides in and then you stick its feet in holes and then you let go of it and it pushes out to the sides and holds itself in, kind of pressure fitted. It reminded me a lot of a lamp harp, so in design. And so anyway, that was super great. So now we've got all of our casserole dishes, and I have 3 like big 9x13 white casserole dishes with like a pearl design. I only buy ones with pearl designs. So anything that has like a bead around the edge, white with a bead around the edge. Because the first one I ever bought, I bought to match a specific plate set, and the color like matched perfectly, and now I have like one kind of beige one, and then all the rest of them are white with pearls because I've stopped. Basically, I just get white porcelain, just plain white. That's what I use for plates now because I think it's just easier. And it still looks nice because you can dress up everything else on the table and you just have the white plates. So I've stopped like trying to have, they're bone, what are they? Feldspar. That's what they are. And they're really sturdy and you can beat them up and they can go in the dishwasher, and I don't have to worry about them. So I get plain white plates, bowls, all of that. Like I said, feldspar porcelain is what I have now. And then all the platters and casserole dishes and whatever are all white with what's known as a pearl design, or sometimes it's called a bead design, but it's just a row of white raised beads or pearls, looks like, on the edge. And are all the pearl designs exactly the same? No, some of them have fatter pearls, some of them have thinner pearls, like whatever. But they all, on a table, they all look like they go together. So, all right. Now that we've done this, we have all the inserts that we need going forward. So what we're going to be working on next is, we have 2 more of these. So I'm just going to lay them out upside down like this. I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to put these in them. I have IKEA 365, the white feldspar porcelain. And IKEA 365 occasionally is good because if it breaks, you can just go to IKEA and get another plate, and it's not super expensive. The only problem with it, I would say, is if it really matters to you that things match exactly, then sometimes, and I don't know if it's just which factory you got the plates from, or if they slightly redesign them over time or what, but not all of our white IKEA 365 plates all match each other perfectly. Okay. So I'm getting these are the 4 things we made in the beginning, and I'm just finding ones to match. All right, so anyway, so there's those. So now we need 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these inserts with them, and then I'm going to put their front mat with them so that I can design with this front mat in mind. And then what we're going to do is we're going to design at least 1 set, possibly 2. So I'm going to take 2 with me. I'm going to take 1 red one and 1 not red one. All right. Okay, so we have, I'm actually going to swap these 2. Yeah. All right, so we've got this one, this one, this one. We've done actually primarily blue. So let's grab one of the redder ones. Yeah, let's grab this one. And then let's grab, we'll grab these. Let's grab these 2. Okay. Put these down here. But yeah, IKEA 365 are sturdy. The only ones we've broken, you know what I mean? So, not like wear and tear, chipping, or crazies, or anything like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the paper that's going to go in these. So, I'm going to open this as an example, and then, okay. So all of this, like this, and this, and this, these are all designs from the digital paper collection, which is Mix and Marry by Simple Stories. and that we have expanded or adapted or in some way altered to fit our project. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do that we're going to make two more, one, and then we'll check the time, and then we'll see what we see. So this may be an all digital afternoon, we'll see. But we're going to be designing something to go here. So, and you can see I've written out all my measurements. Once I knew my measurements, I went through and I wrote them on all of them so that I would be able to quickly go through this and do it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch to a computer view. And sorry, my brain froze. I'm going to switch to the computer view and we're going to put it all together. So, all right, let me, all right, so let me see. What do I want to do? I'm going to get everything opened, and then we're going to design our own paper. So for the rest of this video, we're just going to be designing paper. So if you're not following along with the paper in that way, then the next video in the playlist will be us putting stuff together. Let me just move the chat so I can see it. And let's look at the desktop. All right, so here we are in Photoshop. Okay. And I'm going to look at my little thing and I'm going to say how many sizes I need. So I need one that's 3 3/4. So that's 3.75 by 6 3/4. So that's 6.75 in Photoshop. And I need one that's 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So that's 4.75 by 6.75. And then I need two that are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And I need two that are I need one that is 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. And that's for the ones that go with the, to hold the photos. Okay, and then we have 4 that are 4 3/4 inches wide that line the pockets on the inside. So that's 4.75 is 4 3/4, and then there's one that's 2, there's 2 that's 2 1/2, and there's one that's 2 3/4. So, and opening these just helps me not forget them. Opening these at the beginning. All right, and then for the back, we need one that's 4 3/4 square And then on this one, we're also going to put a rectangle that's 2 by 2 3/4. And we're going to put that in the bottom left. And that's just to remember, so that I remember that I need to leave that space blank, because that's where we have the cutout for our loops, our belt loops. And then I need to make another one of those, but this time the 2 3/4 by the 2" by 2 3/4" square is in the top left. So one where it's in the bottom left, one where it's in the top left. And then for the liner of the pocket on the back, we have our very last piece, which is 4 3/4 by 2 3/4. And actually, I'm just going to make this 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And we'll just print it a little long. It's no big deal. Okay. All right, now. So when I'm working in Photoshop, the main thing to remember, and also the main thing to remember is this: I'm not a Photoshop teacher. I'm just showing you how I do it. Is this necessarily the best, fastest way to do it? I don't know. So the main tools I use are, I use the move icon, which is up here on the left, this arrow, and that's how you move stuff around, select the tab that you want, and things like that. I use the zoom tool, and the main thing I use with the zoom tool is I right click and I click fit on screen, so I can just see the thing as big as it can be without having to scroll. And then occasionally I'll zoom in if I need to zoom in. The other thing I do is I use the photo bin a lot. So the photo bin is down here at the bottom. You'll see you have photo bin, tool options, rotate, layout, etc. I use photo bin a lot. Tool options will automatically get switched to if every time you select a new tool. See, I just am now noticing that rotate tool, because I've been rotating a very cumbersome and slow way this whole time. So, like, that's just to show you that I have no idea what I'm doing. So when I'm in the photo bin, I can see everything I have open in these tabs, and then I can click on the one I want to be working on. Okay. And the other thing I can do is I can move things closer together. So I'm just gonna rearrange a little bit here. And then I'll finish opening everything I want to open, and we'll get to getting. So yeah, we had our fall extravaganza, and we so we started at Starbucks. We got pumpkin loaf, and we got our drinks, and we sat there and ate our pumpkin loaf. And it was over 90 degrees when we were doing this, so you know, it was quite warm. But we were committed. We were committed. Then we went over to Target to see if what they had in their little dollar spot section at the beginning, and we got a couple little gnomes and acorns and things. And then we went to the movies, and then we got dinner, and then we came home. And then that night I decorated a little area in the office, so the next morning it was fall like in here. And then Liz also added some things, and then I found we had some battery operated candles in the emergency supplies, and I changed all their batteries, and we have them out in the area. And Liz got some fall themed Yankee candles and actually Macintoshes, what we're smelling right now. So the office is very fall themed. All right. So we're going to start with this is a 3 3/4 by 6 3/4 inch piece. This is when you first open the wallet, what you see on the left there. And for this, we can just use paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this paper, but I'm going to flip it. Because I want the floral over here, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize it, and I want it to be 6 3/4 inch tall, which is the size that I need it to be to go in my book. And then I'm going to crop a 3 3/4 inch piece off of it. And you can see, if you see that down where my cursor is, you see that little black box that opens up? You can see it says width is 3 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches. So I know I have cropped, like I know that this piece is the appropriate size. Now, I press, if I want to accept it, I press this check mark, but I cannot press that check mark, and that'll allow me to still be able to move it around. And the reason why is I can check, do I like it better if it's cutting off the tips of these leaves over here? Or do I like it better if you see space around those leaves over here and it's cutting off the tips of these flowers? In my opinion, it looks better if you can see the tips of the leaves and it cuts off the tips of flowers. So that's where I'm going to select the check mark. Okay, so once I've done that, I make sure I'm on the move tool. So that's back to the arrow. I click photo bin. And I'm just going to drag this onto the piece that it was designed for. Now, it happens to be the exact same size as the piece it was designed for, because so we don't have to do any additional adjustments. So that's there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly look down here in the embellishments and just say, is there anything that I would add here? And I may add this joy, because we do have that joy elsewhere in the book. So it might be nice to, you know, have a callback. But the one I do want to try is this bird. I want to see if maybe I put this cardinal on it. Okay, all right. Got a little bird sitting on a branch. Okay. Let's embiggen the bird a little bit here. Should we embiggen the bird more? All righty. And I'm just gonna rotate him a little bit so his feet are more aligned with the branch. And then I'm going to zoom in, and this is an area where I would zoom in fairly tight. I just want to see his feet. Okay. I just want to get him. Okay, and now I'll fit on screen again. Oops. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I've got that bird. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to flatten this image, and then I'll move it onto my sheet to do my printing. All right, so this is where we're going to print it from. All right. So that's there. And so now we're going to design the piece that goes right next to it. So this is the liner of that bird's pocket. So we just want to keep, you know, what we did there in mind as I flip through the paper. And I think I probably want to grab something pinkish in tone. So I'm going to go with this one. And all I need is a 4 3/4 inch by 6 3/4 inch piece. All right. So I can now take this and I can just drop this down onto the piece. Wait. I don't need to add it to the piece. I can just add it directly to this. Okay. So now this is the liner for this. So the way that they're going to look in the book is actually like so. All right, so that's how they'll look in the book. So that's that page done. And then on the opposite page, before we work on the inserts, we've got the pattern paper for the pockets. So one thing that we can do is, let's think. What would we want opposite these two is now what we have in mind. So for lining the pockets. I haven't used this yet, so that might be a good one. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do all blues and greens. So we can go with these snow guys and then this plaid. I'm going to go ahead and say the dogs are fine. Let's go with the dogs. And then maybe these leaves. Yeah. All right, so with these, I want to go, I'm going to put this at the top. So the one that goes at the top is 4 3/4 by 2. So all I need to do is just cut a 4 3/4 by 2 inch slice off of this. And then I can use the selection tool, the arrow, to drop it onto my print sheet, which is over here. And then I just go over here and press Control Z. All right, then I'll do next, I'll do the dogs. Yeah, I'll do the dogs next. So they need to be 4 3/4 by 2.5. And again, I'm doing the waterfall pocket right now. All right, so 4 3/4 by 2.5. Now with this, I can say, is that exactly what I want? Which dogs do I want? Which sleds do I want? I'm actually going to grab this section right here where they all kind of look like reindeer dogs. And then drag this down onto the print sheet. And then go back here and press Control Z. And that's just so that it goes back to full size. Then the next one is also 4 3/4 by 2.5. And so that's, I'm going to do the holly. Oops. All right, I'm gonna go back over here and press Control Z, and then the last one is 4 3/4 by 2 3/4, and I'm gonna do it out of the plaid. All right, so that is, those are the liners for all the pockets on the right hand side. So now let's talk about the inserts on the right hand side. So the first, well, we have an insert on the left hand side as well. So let's do the two that are for the one that's 4.5 by 6.5, and the one that's, excuse me, the one that's 4 1/4 by 6. And the one that is, did I not make them? Oh, here they are. Okay. So I have 4 1/4 by 6 and 6 1/4 by 4, one of each. Okay. All right. So for these, we'll take a look at what cards we have. So for 4 1/4 by 6, so I'm just looking at the cards. I do kind of like this ugly sweater. So let's actually grab this ugly sweater and we'll use it for the right hand side. We'll make it vertical. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is I need to use this eyedropper tool. So over here on the left under the paint can is an eyedropper. I'm going to use this to grab what this hex code is right here. Okay. So once I touch the eyedropper tool to a part of the page, it's going to put a color over here on the left where it says color. And then you can go and that'll tell you what color that is. You can say, okay. So now you can use that to make a square. So this is my rectangle tool. So I go into the photo bin and I say, I want this to be a square that color. So I'm going to make a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 square in that color blue. All right. So that's there. And so now I can go back to here and I can take this sweater. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to crop it as close to the sweater as possible. And the reason why is because I do see on the edges where I have some remnants from when they kind of digitally cut it from whatever it was on before. And so if I crop it into a square close to the sweater, then when I drop it onto my green piece I prepared, I don't have to worry about any of those colors being there. And then I can embiggen it so I don't have to keep my sweater the same size. And then once it's the size I want, I'm going to highlight both of these. So I click on over here where it says layer 1 where the sweater is, hold down the shift key and then click on shape 1, which is that rectangle I made. And then down here under tool options, center, middle. Okay, center will center it top to bottom and middle will align it left to right. All right, so now it's dead center. So now I'm just going to flatten the image just so it's, you know, all one piece. And then I can use the mouse tool to drag it to my print sheet. And now it's the size that I need it to be instead of the size that it is in the original collection. Okay, so this is going to go with these 4 pieces of paper in one of those pockets. Okay, so now we need to make the thing that's going to go in here. So I'm looking for something either blue or pink, I think. So when we look at the cards, so here's one we could definitely use. We could basically do the same thing that we already did. I'm kind of tempted to do that. But let's look at the vertical ones. Okay. Nah. I feel like we already used that Santa. Not that we couldn't use him again, but I think we don't need to be repeating yet. Let's go ahead and use this. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this closer to the top. You don't have to do this. I just do it because I flip back and forth so much. I find it easier. Oh, wait, I need a horizontal one. I'm looking at verticals when I need horizontals. I already did the vertical. Okay. Just kidding. Did we use this dog? Why can't I remember anything? We didn't. Let's go ahead and use a dog. All right, so him, I have to rotate. All right, and you can see he's not centered either. And again, this is like an artifact of when they cut these apart. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab his green with my eyedropper tool, so I have it. And then I'm going to crop him close once again. And give myself an easier time when I go to center it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that color to put a rectangle on this page. So I'm going to put a rectangle that's the color that's going to match the dog. And then I can now drag the dog down onto here and it'll blend in. All right, so now all I have to do is click the layer with the dog. I'm going to hold down the shift key and click the shape number 1. And then I'm going to center. And actually, let's enlarge the dog. Let's make the doggo bigger. All right, let's try that. All right, there we go. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. So let's go ahead and go with that. So I'm going to go to layer and then flatten image and then go to the photo bin, and then I'm going to drag this onto my sheet where I'm going to print everything. And the dog's going to go with those. So before I make any more, let me just make sure that I've got everything the right size. Okay. Now I've talked about this before. But if you have things meet on their corners here, see how all these corners are meeting right there? That just makes it easier to cut them apart later, okay? That makes it easier to cut them apart later. All right. Okay, because you can see that I can cut them across like this and then down, and that's just, it's slightly fewer cuts, but when you cut a lot of this stuff, you definitely want it as few cuts as possible. And then I just have to arrange these other pieces around them. Okay. All right, so I think that that's all that's going to fit here, but that's, well, I have a little bit of room there. Maybe we can squeeze in the size we need for the wallet. So the wallet is 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. No, actually that's too big to go there. But we could get the wallet's flaps, the 2" by 3 3/4" pieces. We can get those in there. So let's go ahead and say, okay, so we have a very cozy, frosty, sweatery vibe going. So what we need is to find something that's going to fit with that would look cute on the front of a gatefold. And so maybe what we want is just something like, maybe this is where we use this. All right. The only problem with putting this on the front of a gatefold is that the star will be sliced out of the center of the tree, and I'm just not sure that I love that. So maybe we do like a hot cocoa or cookies. Ooh, or where it says let it snow. Maybe we'll do the let it snow. Let's do let it snow. The wreath I thought of for the front of the gatefold because a gatefold obviously calls to mind doors, and a wreath is good for doors. My only concern is just because we do cut a 1/4" slice out of the middle of this piece, what we're going to end up with. But let's go ahead and let's try just resizing it to the size that we need, and then we'll go from there. So this piece is 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. So we're going to make it, we're going to make the height 3 3/4, which is 3.75. And that doesn't make it wide enough. So we need to make the width 4.25, and then we'll have to trim it on the height. All right, so now we're going to fit this on the screen. So we'll see what it looks like with a 1/4" slice out of the middle, and I can show you how we're going to do that. All right, so I'm going to make, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a 4 1/4 by 3 1/4" box. And then I'm going to center my wreath in it. I think that looks pretty good. All right, so to get an idea of what it's going to look like with a 1/4" cut out of the middle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the eyedropper tool to get myself the red, and then I'm going to make a 1/4" red rectangle right down the middle, because that's what it's going to look like in the piece when it's separated by the doors, because there'll be a 1/4" of red cardstock showing through. So honestly, it looks fine. It still reads as a wreath, no problem. So we can go ahead and do it. All right, so I'm just going to delete that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 2" slice of this 4 1/4" piece from either side. So first I crop 2 inches in from the left. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop this down onto my to be printed stuff. All right, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to press Control Z, and then I'm going to come and I'm going to take 2 inches from the other side. and I can put that right there. All right, so we were able to squeeze one more element onto here. So this is now ready to print. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and print this and get it printing. And then we'll keep working on the other elements that we need. So, all right, so print. And print. And then I'll get this printing and then we'll continue. All right, so just have to get my paper out. All right, so that's printing. So we can continue on. All right, so far for the wallet on the inside, we've done all of the matting paper. We've done the front of the wallet. So we need to do the inside and the back, or the front end of the piece that we made this, the gatefold card that we made this wreath for. We need the stuff that goes on the sides on the inside. And I'm going to be looking for just something journaly, and I may just snag out of here. So sometimes with stuff that has a lot of lines, it can be kind of hard to see. So you can toggle the grid if you go to view and then you just check grid or uncheck grid, and you can see what they actually look like. So what I'm going to do is see this one, and this one, these pink ones, I want to take from the pink ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from this upper right one over here. And I need two pieces that are basically I need them to be at least 3 3/4 inches long. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make the height of this 5 inches. And I'm just hoping that that extra 1 1/4 will allow me to take a 3 3/4 inch piece of just the pink, which it won't. So that's okay. What I'm going to do instead is I'm actually just going to crop it to the part that's just the grid, and then I'll resize that to be 3 3/4. So it'll be 3.75 tall. And then I'm going to crop a 2-inch piece off of it. And then I'll just drop that twice onto my next piece to print. So I'm just going to drop it down once. And then I'm going to duplicate that layer. So I right click on it on the side here and I click duplicate. And I'm not having them touch right now because I just need it to be obvious to my brain after it's printed that these are two separate pieces, even though they're identical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that they're not touching each other so I know exactly where to cut them. And so what I mean by that is, and I'll show you on this one, if they were like this, because they're the same pattern continuously, when I go to cut it out, I might perceive this as being one large piece. So I just want to make sure when I stick them that they're offset from each other somehow, like these two are, so that I don't get confused. All right, so that's the inside of that piece. And then it also has its flap. I'll just cut out of the pattern paper. We just need something for the back of it. So I'm just gonna grab, it doesn't have to be anything too fancy. Let's grab these candy canes. So I just need a piece that's 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. Okay. And then we'll drag that over here. So that'll go on the back. Is there a mostly red or mostly green is actually what I need. Let's take this. I'm going to go ahead and just cut a piece of this that is the size that I need for the flap, which is, I'm just going to cut it to be 1 inch by 1 inch by 5 inches. All right. And that'll go on the outside. And then on the inside, what do I just want something that'll look nice with the pink. I think I'll grab, oh, okay, this is interesting. So here I have a row of stamps. So let me just see what size this is. And I'm just going to make it 7/8 of an inch. So 7/8 of an inch in here is 0.875. Okay, so I'm going to make this 0.875, and then I'm going to cut a 5-inch strip out of it. And I'm just going to say, you know, what do I want in my 5-inch strip? I definitely want this cat. But I think I also, I think I'm going to cut it like so. Okay. So this can go on the inside. So this is slightly smaller than the other one because it really needs to be 7/8. The other one I was just going to trim down. But this one, because it is stamps, you know, we can't really trim it down. So going to go ahead and keep those little stamps. Okay, so those are ready to go on the sheet. So now we've done the photo wallet. We've done the 2 4x6s. All right, so now we have the tag and, well, we have the 2 tags and the stuff for the back. Now, for the larger tag, and it gets a strip of pattern paper, I'm going to go ahead and go with these candy canes. And I forget what size this pattern paper is, so I'm just going to do 1.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And then that way I have plenty to cut down because I know that's plenty. All right, so we've got 4.5 by 1.5. Go ahead and drop this down. A lot of pink, but remember it's an almost totally green background. Okay, so we're basically doing pink on green with all of this pink. And this piece is totally separate from these pieces. You won't see them all at the same time, so we don't have to worry about overdoing that. That pattern. We just don't have a lot of solid pink in the collection. There's only 2 that are solid pink, and we've used both of them. So, yeah. Okay, on this layout. All right, so that tag is done. So now we need the tag that's the journaling tag, which is 2.5 by It's 2.5 by 5. I want to say it is. Oh no, we are making 2.5 by 5 1/4. 2.5 by 5 1/4. Okay. So what I want to see is if we can manipulate one of the tags from the collection to just fit on that. And so I need to find the sheet where the tags were, which is this. All right, and let's see about this one. Let's see if we can do something with this one. All right. So the first thing that we need to do is see if it's really usable at all, which it's not because they've put this hole on there and done all that. So what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to just cut it to just the pink part. And then I'm going to resize this to be, I need it to be 5 1/4. Okay. And then once it's 5 1/4, I can cut it down to 2.5. Is it 2.5? Let me measure again, just like it is 2.5. Okay. And then same as before, I'm just going to move it until I like what it looks like within the window, which is, I think this is what I want to do. Okay. So now that I've done that, what I can do, so now this is the right size, what I can do is I can go and I can find that pattern, which is this one. And now we're going to do something a little bit interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to resize this so that the pattern will be more dense. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is 6 inches. All right. So now when I cut a little piece for the top, the pattern will be, there'll be more pattern. So for the top, I want a piece that's 1 inch by, what do I need? 1 inch by, what is it? 2.5? 1 inch by 2.5. And then I'm just going to go through and find where I like it. So I like it like this because the empty space in the middle is where our hole reinforcer will go. And then now I can go ahead and I can drag this piece onto this piece. And put this at the top. And I'm going to stretch it just a little bit to cover that red line at the top. All right, perfect. So now I can flatten this so it's all one piece, and now I can drag it onto my print sheet. And we're printing, again, we're going to print 2 of these. So I'm going to duplicate the layer. So I have 2 of them. All right, so that's for the tags. Okay, so we've done both tags. They're done. We've done both 4x6 inserts. They're done. We've done the gatefold thingy, front, back, and inside and all of that. That's done. So now we just need to do the back. We've done everything in the front. So now we're on to the back. All right. So the back, we need to start with something that's kind of square. And so I have an idea that maybe we can use this. So what I want to do is I want to resize this to be the size that I need, which is 4 3/4. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drag it over here to our thingy and just see how it's going to look, you know, around the cutout. And I think maybe we need to stretch it. No, I don't think so. All right, so I think it's okay as it is. So now what we need is like what's going to be on the envelope. So what I want to see is if there's any like Dear Santa or anything like that. Ooh, this looks kind of fun. Let's do, oh, and I found a Dear Santa as well. So let's go grab the Dear Santa as well. Okay. All right, so we've got this, and then we've got this. So let's try the Christmas first, because I'm thinking we maybe just stick like the Christmas like right there. That's very cute. And then maybe here there's like an embellishment that'll look good right there in the corner. And I can certainly use this Santa. He could go there. We have a little North Pole. Oh my gosh, I just had the cutest idea. Okay, so we got Santa on the house. Doesn't he have a sled in here? There's a reindeer. And then here's the sled. Okay. Okay, I need to flip the sled, okay, or the sleigh. All right, Santa's standing in front of the sleigh, the reindeer. All right, okay, so this is, we're just gonna merge these guys so they're all one piece, and then we're gonna drop them onto the Christmas card, and then we're gonna add them to the corner. Okay. All right, so now this we can get rid of. Obviously, we don't need it anymore. So we can now drag this over onto our print sheet. Oops. Okay. So it's there. And one thing I'm going to do is I just need to make sure I line something up perfectly with the top of this so I know where to cut because it's white at the top. But we can work on that. It's not a big deal. And then we need the underside of that, and then we need the liner, and then we're done. So the underside of that would be... Let's do the chimney. Yeah. And we'll put the chimney on just like a some kind of cute background. Let's do what color background? Let's get a darker green. Let's grab this green. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna, oops. I'm gonna go over here and I'm just gonna cover this. And now I'm gonna grab the chimney. And before I do that, I'm gonna just resize the chimney to be, I'm gonna just say 4 3/4 inches wide. And that way, when I drag the chimney onto here, it should be the right size or thereabouts. Is it gonna cut off, you know, some of the some of the wreath? Yeah, you know it's there though. And we're gonna lose this whole upper, oh wait, we're gonna lose that whole upper corner. See? Okay. See, this is why you gotta put your little thing there, because otherwise you forget what you have to work around. Okay. All right, so we have to work around that corner. I forgot. So something like that that needs to be centered is not necessarily the best option. So instead, let's just think. I'm gonna crop the all is calm, all is bright from this. And by crop it, I mean, like literally, I just want it separate. So I'm just gonna drop it temporarily on my printer sheet so it can just kind of hang out here until I need it again. And then okay, so I'm going to press Control Z and I'm going to resize this to be 4 3/4 inches tall. Okay. And then I'm going to put it to fit on the screen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it so that I get everything that's not all is calm, all is bright. And I'm going to drop that onto my print sheet as well. So I have it as well. All right, so now let's go over here. Let's go over here. Let's Control Z. So what we need to do is find a way to get rid of this all is calm, all is bright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the eyedropper tool and I'm going to get this background green. And then I'm going to make a square or a rectangle that covers this up. Okay? And then I'm just going to adjust it so I'm not cutting any snowballs in half, or as few snowballs in half as I can get away with. Okay. And then this is 1, 2, it's 3.5 by 2 1/4. So I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to go to this pattern, which is in the collection somewhere here. And I'm going to grab a piece that's, what was it? 3.5 by 2 3/4. Is that what I said? How come I don't know? That's a good question. Okay. It is 1, 2, 3.5 by 2 1/4. Okay. So 3.5 by 2 1/4. All right, so now I'm going to drag this down onto here and put it on top of the shape. All right, so now we have continuous snowflakes, right? Okay. All right, perfect. So I'm going to merge all these. I'm going to merge all these. And so what that's going to do is it's now one piece. So now I can drag it down over here. Okay. And I can put my house and my trees there. I'm just going to bring this up so I can see where it is. Okay, so now that other little slice that I cut out and put over here with the 2 trees, I can now bring that over and we can see if we want to try and incorporate it into what we have going on so that it looks like it's part of it a little bit. And I think more than anything what we want is those 2 little trees. So I'm going to delete that layer and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to zoom in really tight on these trees so that they kind of fill the screen. And then I'm going to crop just them. And I'm going to snag ever so slightly the top of the hill, but pretty much I just want the trees. Okay. And so now I can drop the trees over here. And we'll just find a spot where they look. All right, so we just need a little bit of white back there. So once again, I'm just going to zoom in really tight on the trees. And we're going to pick up this white with an eyedropper tool. And then I'm going to use the pencil. And this is not going to be amazing, okay? But in the actual piece, this is gonna be so small, it's not gonna be noticeable at all. Oops. I'm just using the pencil to just take away some of that green, just so the trees look like they're part of the snow. Just a little bit more. Just do a little bit of snow right here. And then when we make it, see, when we make it print size, you don't see that my white's a little bit sloppy, but the trees look like they're part of the piece a little bit more. So they fit in better. Okay, so now the last thing we need to do is we need to go to the photo bin and we need to grab the All is Bright and drop that on there. And then we can shrink it a little bit. It doesn't need to be this size. And just kind of eyeball it in there. And so now we still have that all is calm, all is bright, original sentiment. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the shape and just flatten the image. And now we can drag this to our print sheet. All right, and now it's going to print. And so now we don't need this piece anymore, and we don't need this piece anymore because we incorporated them into this piece. All right, so we've got this one, we've got this one, and so now we just need the 4x6 liner for the pocket. It's going to be next to this one, and I actually think I want to use this poinsettia again. So I'm going to put this back to its original size and cut a 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 inch slice out of it, and then this sheet is also ready to print. All right, and then we've got it done. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to get this all lined up or whatever. So, oh my gosh, this is gonna be okay. All right, now this is ready to print. So we can just go ahead and print this, and not this time. It took a little bit longer because we did all our matting papers at the same time as well, but we're basically, oh, no, we don't want, I just looked at the back of this pocket and I don't think we want to use the poinsettias because it has a poinsettia on its back. So we're just gonna, we'll get rid of the poinsettias, and I'm just gonna use something that'll tie it in with this, and so I'm just gonna use the plaid. Or no, I'll use the holly leaves. It's not a big deal. It's a simple change. Good thing I looked down. And then while this one is printing, we can start cutting the other one and taping it and talking about how we're going to put everything together. All right, so this goes here. Okay, so I just want to move these. Just a little closer to each other, just to make it easier for me to cut them. Okay. All right, so now we can go ahead and print this. Yep. And while it's printing, we will cut the other one. So yeah, there we go. We are done. We have everything printed, ready to go. So I'm going to switch you guys back to the craft desk. We'll do a recording break as well, actually. So the digital stuff is all together on this one video. So, so for those of you who have been following along and are doing the digital stuff, I hope you found this helpful, into how you can kind of, again, we're trying to get even more use out of our digital collections, more so than just printing it as 12 by 12. Now it's like, well, since we have the options to manipulate these things and make them work for our projects, maybe that's just what we'll do. So I hope this was helpful. We are live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern USA time and 9 p.m. Eastern USA time if you want to follow along with the rest of this project. We have coming up, you know, we're going to be doing more of this. You know, more of this being our digital collections and things of that nature. So this is the one that I had on my desk while I was working on it. So this is the one we're going to be incorporating with. Oops, not you. You go away. And here's our first little bit that we printed, and it's ready to go. So we can start cutting that out and sticking it down. And let me get this one printing. So I'm going to do a recording break here. Those of you who are watching live, just hang tight. Nothing's going to change for you. For those of you who are watching on YouTube or in the archives, just go ahead and on YouTube, check the playlist for this project, which is linked below. Oh my gosh, it's not printing. It's not printing and I didn't say, oh my gosh, I'm going to scream. Okay, so I have to recreate everything I just did because for some reason my printer errored and it didn't take the print job, and I already closed Photoshop, so I can't just resend it. So for I'll just recreate it in between shows. Yay. Luckily I have a video on how to do it I can watch. So yay. All right, so in the next video I will have already fixed it, and you know, we'll be good to go. But I'm gonna start cutting this apart and matting, and then I'll see the rest of you later. Bye now.